So in the last video we looked at how to create a surface development of a kind of rectangular or a square prism. Okay, this next video we're going to have a wee shot. We're going to just up the difficulty a wee bit. It's still going to be a prism, it's just that this time it's going to be a hexagon. Okay, so we've got a few extra sides to kind of think about here. So we take a blank sheet. Again, I'd like you guys to be working on the A3 paper that I've given you. It's just going to make your life a lot easier. You're not going to have to try and sort of squeeze things into a little A4 sheet. So if you can, try and make sure you're using A3 paper if you've still got some left from the stuff I gave you. So I'm not going to make a set size for my hexagon here. I'm just going to kind of freehand it again. Mine is going to be quite small just because of trying to fit it on an A4 sheet, but we'll see how we get on. I might actually even end up running out of space. So I've got my wee circle there, and what I can do is I can now take my 60-30 and I can start to build up the hexagon shape. Okay, so you kind of know how to do these by now, but I'm just going to take my hexagon or my edges of my page and line that 60-30 up and just build up that that shape as best I can. Like I say, getting your head around what way round to use the set square. Takes a wee bit getting used to. I still got a bit confused, but you'll get there. Just kind of spin it all about and hope for the best, really. What am I doing? Sorry, I'm having a wee mind blank there. So, like I did in the video where I sort of showed you the hexagons, I'm just going to give myself a wee line there to work with, just because my set square that I'm using is pretty small. So I'm just using that to build up this bottom surface. I might actually end up using it as my elevation. So I've got my wee hexagon drawn there. Okay, like I say, size wise I'm not fussed at all, and I think just before I do anything I'll just number everything up, the corners. 4, 5, 6. So like we did on the square one, we just kind of built up the sizes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to project. Now I've started with my plan view here just so that I've got obviously the right sizes. We're taking those lines down. Try and keep everything kind of as in line as you can. You can see I went a little bit squint there because we're kind of doing this freehand. So let's say I'm going to go for a prism of that height. I'll just use that wee line that I had. So that's me got my kind of basic shape. What I do need to do is bring this front line down as well. So what we've got is, if we're looking front on at that object, we can see this face here is that one, and then this face here is that one. Okay, so what I'm going to do, just as I go through the drawing, I'm going to number them up. So this face here that I can see is 4 and 3, and then this face here is 4 to 5, and then I can just go, right, okay, what's behind it? So 5 has 6 behind it, 4 has 1 behind it, and then 3 has got 2 behind it. So just like that. We'll now build up our end elevation. So this is if we're looking side on at this object, and then we're going to take our line across to the front edge, and then the front edge of where I want this next view. And if you remember, that is where I get my bounce line, so I need to jump to my 45 set square just to build this up. Now, having a look at my page already, I know I'm going to run out of space for my surface development, but I can show you kind of how to start it, and I'm sure you'll be able to work it out for the last couple of faces. So the height's been taken over. I've taken my front edge to make that bounce line. So that's kind of how we're building it up, and then we can start to take the faces over, so or any points over. So this point here goes across, this point here goes across, and then this edge here. Trying to just find the edges to line up with. Goes across as well. Okay, and then what we can do is we can drop down. You'll notice I keep switching between set squares. It's just purely because these are small and they're a bit tricky to kind of continue lines when they're so short. So this one, I'm just kind of eyeballing it to make sure it's straight rather than trying to use edges. So what we've got here is as if we were looking at the side of this object, and you'll notice it is slightly wider. Okay, so because what we're looking at is the side. If I look at here, I'm looking front on at the face, but then I'm also seeing the sloping sides going away from it. So I'm going to just darken this all up slightly so you can see what's going on in the drawing. I should say as well, this is us looking at this for the kind of nat 5 guys at this point. Highers, I have asked you to watch this video just as a wee recap so that it's kind of fresh in your mind if you did do nat 5 last year. Obviously if you didn't do nat 5 last year, I would really strongly suggest having a wee shot at working through the nat 5 tasks as well, just so that you've got your head around what we're doing here. So we're going to now number up this view just so that we've got our head around the different faces again. So one closest to the front is this one here, so it's 3. 4 is going to be at this side, 2, and then we had 1. So it's just the closest face to that bounce line, because that's essentially what we're viewing. Okay, and then we can take it around. So that 1, nothing behind it, it's just 1 on that face. The 2, we then have 6 behind it. The 3, we've then got 5 behind it. And then we've got our 4 just on its own. So that's us got our elevation, end elevation and plan set up there. Okay, and now we can start building up our surface development. So same as we did with the rectangular one, I should say the technique is just exactly the same on this. We've just got extra faces to work with, so there's not gonna be anything new or more difficult in a sense. It's just kind of more lines. So I'm leaving my wee space. My gap that I'm leaving here is quite small. Like I say, I know I'm going to run out of space, so I would just rather keep the gap a wee bit small. So we're starting with face 1 or edge 1, and we want to work our way around. Now hexagons actually have equal sized faces, so we can take this one measurement from 1 to 2 and we can just plonk it on as many times as we need to for our surface development. So I'm going corner to corner for 1 to 2, so I can go 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6, and then you would go 6 back to 1, but I just don't have space for it. Okay, so I'm just going to do a few of the sides just now, just to show you. So just make sure when you're doing this, like I say, you should be working on A3. You should be able to start at 1 and finish at 1. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You'd go to 6 and you go back to 1, but I'm just going to run up to 5 for space. So we're just taking these lines up just to split each face. And again, we're keeping it as square as we can, trying to line up with existing lines or with the edges of your page just to try and help you out. So like you can see, I've only got 4 faces here. We would just need to do 5 to 6 and 6 to 1 to finish that shape. So that would be it. If it was just a solid object, we would obviously have our fold lines on the lines that we would fold, but we are going to put our cut in this time. Okay, I'm just going to put 6 and 1 just so that you're remembering to do that. So we're going to do the same thing as we did on our rectangular object. Okay, we're going to cut through that prism, we're going to join the dots up, and then we're going to kind of see what we can create. So this one, again, same as the first time. I'm not really fast. Starting that top left corner, put a cut on it at any angle. Okay, now again, mine's a wee bit darker so you can see what's going on my screen. So we'll kind of lightly rub this out so there's kind of construction lines. But we're now saying, actually, instead of this just being a solid object that runs straight up, it's got that tapered side on it. Okay, this one will actually, I said it was easier, it's a wee bit trickier. We're going to have to think a wee bit here about what we're going to see when we look on the front or onto the side of this. Okay, now that we've got this slope. And this is where your numbers really do start to come in and become quite handy. So we're going to say, right, number 3 is that height. Helps if I actually project my lines across, doesn't it? So 3's at that height. We've also got a point there. And then we've got that top point. And we can just start to, like we did on the first drawing, join the dots essentially. So this short edge is all the 3's and the 2's. So that one there. So anyway we've got a 3 or a 2, I'd have a dot there for the 3. And I'd have a dot there for the 2. We're then up to this middle one. So that's my 4 and my 1. So I'd find 4 on this drawing at the middle point. And I'd find 1 at this drawing at the middle point. And then my tallest bit there, number 5 and 6, which you can see is behind. So it would be up here for 5 and 6. Okay, so if I look at this object front on, and looking, I'd see the shorter face, which I can see there. I'd then see those sort of sloping away faces. And then we'd also have that tall bit at the back. So all we need to do here is we're just joining the dots a wee bit. I do know I'm going quite quickly through this. It's just, rather than me spending ages and leaving gaps for you to catch up, I just think you can pause if you need a wee bit of a chance to catch up, rather than me making an obscenely long video. So what we've got there is now what we would see if we were looking front on at that object. We've factored in that slope, and we've got that end elevation built up. You'll notice I've not labelled any of these. I've just wanting to focus on the actual drawing side of things. I would like you guys to label them up. So elevation, end elevation, plan, surface development, making sure you're adding in your title blocks as well. So what we've got here now, I'm just darkening it all up so we can see a wee bit easier, but we've got that hexagonal prism created, so it's got the straight up and down side, hexagonal base, and then what we've done is we've cut that little slope on it and we've built that up on our end elevation. Okay, and now what we're going to start to do is build up those heights so that we've got the correct faces. So we're going to have this kind of up and down type thing again. So we'll project all our different heights over. So our lowest one, let's do it that way so we've got long enough. Our lowest height there, our midpoint there, and then we've already got our top. And it's just the same thing again. So number 1 goes up to that point. Then we're on to 2. So 2 is the front one, so that's this one here. Or again, you can refer to this. It's totally up to you which one you choose. Just make sure you're picking the right numbers. So 2 is the short one. 3 is short. 4, we're up to that middle-sized one. 5, we're up to the top. And then we would keep going to 6 and then back to 1, wherever that sits. Okay, and now all we need to do, just like we did the first time when we did your rectangular one, is we're just building in those edges. So we've got the kind of surface. We'll outline the edge. This one I'm not actually going to do a solid line because, like I say, we'd have another couple of faces. So I am just going to mark this up as a fold just to remind you to do it. So we've got that. All these edges where we're going to fold long, short, short, long, short, short, long. Just as many times as you need to fill the space. Please make sure when you're doing this that you are making quite a distinct difference between your long and your shorts, just so it's kind of possible for us to tell actually what type of line you're drawing there, because it could be that it might end up looking like a hidden detail line if you do them all too similar. So we've got that there, and as I say, you would go along, so 6 is a tall one and then 1 short, so you'd actually have something that goes like that as well if we finish the full object. But that's how we would do our surface development of a hexagonal prism. So have a wee go, make sure you followed along with this, you know what you're doing, and then you can have a wee shot at the assignments that you've been set in Teams.